Well, welcome to another Acoustic Alternatives podcast. I'm John Bommarito, and I want to thank, as usual, Grove Studios for being such excellent hosts and the encouragement for me to even start doing this podcast to kind of replace what I used to do in a radio station studio. So big thanks to this spot in Ypsilanti that if you're a musician and you don't know about this place, check it out, because this is a place you can practice 24/7. You can do some recording. If you're a podcaster like myself, you can do a podcast. If you're a DJ and you're looking for a place to get loud, get out of your garage and not annoy your neighbors, there's a couple of rooms for that as well. Look Grove Studios up and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, and come by and get a tour for sure. And of course, right now, I also have to thank David Palmer, who's my sponsor for the podcast, because without David, we would not have had Liz Longley or Rachel Davis or pretty much anybody for the next several weeks, because David Palmer at dcpalmer.com is being gracious enough to be my sponsor for the next few weeks. And you can find out more about him again at dcpalmer.com. He's affiliated with Realty Experts, LLC. They're at 1420 Washington, number 301 in Detroit, Michigan, 48226. And this week, the guest is one of Detroit area's biggest supporters of others, as I've noticed over the years. A man who's kind to all and who writes compelling stories and turns them into songs. Mr. Mark Jewett is here. Good morning / afternoon, evening, whatever time people are watching, Mark.
Good day, sir.
That's probably the best way to handle it. Good day.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
And we're also joined by the man who helped produce your latest record and plays drums, Billy Harrington.
Hello.
Hello, Billy.
How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Great.
I'm trying to remember the first project I met you on, because I've known you for years, but I can't remember whose project it was, because you're kind of like all over the place and play with lots of our friends.
Yeah,
do you even remember?
Maybe Sam Corbin's?
Could be Sam.
Like first or second record. That was like 2009, 2008.
Maybe. Or
So.
Adam Plymouth. I can't remember anymore.
Yeah. Sam would have been before Adam too. So
Okay, well, there you go.
Ancient.
Sam. Well, Mark has a new record coming up, but we're going to dig a little deeper into his history before we talk about the new record. But meanwhile, I think we should actually start with the song.
You think so?
I think we should.
Start at the beginning?
It's a very good place to start.
Okay.
When you sing, you begin with. What would you like to do from this new forthcoming record?
Well, literally, I think I probably should start at the beginning with a song called "The Lucky One."
Is this the one that launched the whole record?
It was the impetus, the motivation to start focusing on a record. The song's been around for a while, and it's a song about gratitude, and I hope it's self-explanatory. So, here we go. If you've got someone to love you, and you've got someone to love, you can thank your lucky stars when you look up above. If you have friends, it seems you have known since you were born, you're lucky 'cause you know they will be there in the morn. You're a lucky one. You're a lucky one. So live each day as if your life had just begun. You're a lucky one. And when your time is done, you will still be a lucky one. If your best friend wags his tail when you walk through the door, you're lucky just to be the one your friend could not love more. If a song can make you smile, or a song can make you cry, you're lucky 'cause you know what it's like to be alive. You're a lucky one. You're a lucky one. So live each day as if your life had just begun. You're a lucky one. And when your time is done, you will still be a lucky one. Well, I tell myself these things whenever I begin to doubt, and to remind myself what life is all about. I've got someone to love me, and I've got someone to love. And I always thank my lucky stars when I look up above. I've had all these blessings, yes, I've had a real good run. I know that I've been lucky, yes, I'm the lucky one. I'm the lucky one. I'm the lucky one. And I live each day as if my life had just begun. I'm the lucky one. And when my time is done, I will still be the lucky one. Yes, when my time is done, I'll still be the lucky one.
The title track from Mark Jewett's forthcoming record is The Lucky One on Acoustic Alternatives. Thank you for doing that, sir.
Sure.
That one is the one that lyrically grabs me the most because I think everybody can relate to the feelings of just being grateful. But I do have to ask, where was the moment that song started? Were you sitting down thinking, God, I'm so lucky I have X in my life?
There were a couple of real milestones on that one. The song was born. I remember the moment.
That's the moment I want to hear about.
It was Cinco de Mayo, probably 2017, maybe 2018. I had just done a songwriter round show with Rochelle Clark and Scott Fabb. And after the show, after we'd kind of broken down, Rochelle said, I feel really fortunate to be part of this. And I said, I feel like I'm the lucky one. And then I thought, wait a minute, I'm going to make a note.
iPhone memo.
So yeah, the verse and most of the chorus kind of hung around for a while. And then, I just got to thinking about gratitude in general and all the things that we're lucky to have.
Well done.
And there you go.
You capture the moment, even including the dog in there. The whole,
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
My dad's best friend is his dog. You're never alone if you got a Brody. I hear that every single time I come over to visit my dad. So the dog part, I can relate to that too. So nicely done, and I feel fortunate to have you as a friend go for a walk with, and
Thanks.
grateful for that.
It's a healthy thing to do.
It is.
Have friends and walk.
Yes, somewhere to vent. Give me a rundown of the young Mark Jewett. What were you doing? What were you listening to as a kid?
Oh, as a kid, I remember listening to Beatles as early as maybe age 8.
When they were new, probably.
When they were new, when I remember watching them on the Ed Sullivan Show
Oh,
on their
come
first
on.
appearance.
I mean, I know you're older than me, but you really saw them.
I really saw that
come on.
show. Yep.
Wow.
On
64?
on a black and white 19-inch TV. And yeah.
You got me beat there. I wasn't on the planet yet. So neither was Billy for that matter.
But when I first had an interest in music, I wanted to play drums.
Oh, wow.
Really?
So,
parents
Billy and I
stopped
would be
at that
competing
probably.
for all kinds of things now. But my mom didn't say no. She said, hell no.
Exactly.
That's pretty specific.
Yeah.
I think that's don't do that.
So I played trombone from 4th grade all the way through high school, and kind of drifted in the direction of the big band stuff. There was in middle school, there was a stage band, and in high school as well. So I was part of the concert band and the stage band, and got exposed to the classics, Tommy Dorsey and Glenn Miller, and
I love that stuff.
yeah, it's great stuff. And later on into the more modern big bands like Maynard Ferguson. That's really exciting stuff to be in an auditorium with Maynard's band going full tilt.
Nice.
It's electrifying. But
Did you include any of that on the new record? Any trombone on the new record?
no, I still own one.
Yeah, dust it off.
It's
For the next one then.
Record number 4.
it's in a
Solo.
case in the garage on a shelf, and the case has a hole in it. So I'm not even sure if the slide would work anymore. But I could pull it out for something like Rainy Day Women or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nothing too melodic
Yeah.
or nothing that requires
finesse,
polished tone anymore.
Well, then trombone went away.
Yeah, I did. And I did get to take drum lessons for a summer
Yeah.
on a pad. I didn't get a kit. But
Because it was quiet enough to not annoy your mother.
Yes. And she was hoping I got it out of my system. But, I would still love to learn to play drums better than I do.
Was there a drummer at that point in your life that you wanted to be like?
Oh, I was a big Danny Seraphin fan from Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
He was quite phenomenal. Of course, that whole Juilliard lineup.
Didn't he hit cymbals behind his head sometimes?
Yeah, I think their Help Wanted ad said must be phenomenal because they all are. Yeah.
Yeah. I dabbled with the drum set in the basement of my house, and then I tried to play along with the Police record, and then I gave up.
Ooh.
That's when I stopped trying to be a drummer.
Oh,
Hard
Stu
start.
Copeland is a hard one to cop.
I mean, I already knew Neil Peart was off the table. That was like, don't even try. But then I hadn't paid attention to the polyrhythms of Stuart Copeland. I'm like,
Yeah, he's one of those guys where you're not sure how many brains he's got going firing at once.
no.
But polyrhythm, yes.
Eventually, you picked up stringed instruments.
I did. I started playing bass in high school. Really kind of wanted to get into something with a little more community outside the school. And a friend of mine, Keith Carley, showed me some bass basics. And I still remember my first bass, which I regret selling, which was a short scale Kalamazoo, a Gibson product. But it was kind of a Gibson EBO knockoff. And it was probably early in my senior year when I started playing that. And then when I went away to engineering school at Michigan, I was still burning all my elective credit hours on music-related stuff. And I took a jazz improv class that was so far over my head, but very educational. We had analytical assignments too. And we had to pick a bass solo to analyze and write about. And I picked one by, I think, Miroslav Vitos when he was with Weather Report. So it was challenging and fun.
It didn't scare you away from being a bass player?
No, it didn't. And from there, I joined some cover bands with friends and eventually found myself in a band with a songwriter. And we did some original stuff and recorded it in a garage loft back in probably 78. And we did that full time until about 81, and the band kind of, the wheels fell off. It's called Whitewater.
Okay.
And years later, probably around 06, we got together and decided to re-record that stuff and do it right. And there were some new tunes, and there is a record out there. It's available on Bandcamp, but I don't think it's gone plastic yet.
Did you teach yourself bass and guitar, or did you take lessons?
I never took formal bass lessons. Once, if you're sticking with the 4-string bass or even a 5-string, everything's about shapes and they're portable. And unless you're playing down at the nut, everything you can play here, you can play here. So that was actually a hindrance to me when I took up guitar seriously, because there's that, all these nice intervals on the E through the G string, and then you've got the different interval, and it screwed up my shapes-based logic. So I've been battling that ever since I went to guitar.
And U of M was to go to engineering, and then...
Yes, yeah. I'm an electrical engineer by degree, and I actually pursued that as like a backup thing because I wanted to be a recording engineer.
I was going to ask, was music ever the first choice?
It was, and I don't think I had the chops or the encouragement to pursue performing arts at the time, but I was really fascinated by recording. And I wrote to all the labels and, asked how can I do this? And they all said, well, just go to LA or New York and try to find an internship somewhere. And
Thanks.
Because there were no recording schools in 1974 when I entered college. And that was discouraging. So I thought, okay, next best thing is maybe I can work on musical electronics, become a synthesizer designer or something like that. So I picked electrical engineering. Plus, math and physics were probably my strongest suits prior to that. And it was a good fit. It served me well for many years. Mm-hmm. It'll stop serving me on Halloween.
Yay! Retirement's coming up for Mark Jewett, everybody.
Yeah.
He's going to retire. So what was the path to writing your own songs? You were in a band, you were watching somebody else do all the things, you took a little bit of a break, and then you put out your debut in 2011. But how did you get there?
Well, there's a primary and a backstory on that too. I knew, I don't know if you know Nolan Mendenhall. Mm-hmm. Many years ago, he was in a band called Buildings with Sean Murphy and a guy I went to high school with, Kenny Meredith. And they played at some local clubs. And, at the time, I only knew Kenny, but I met Nolan back then. And I wound up building some transit cases for a bass that Nolan owned, an Alembic bass, and we became friends back then, and then went separate ways. And many years later, I saw his name in a Sunday newspaper as associated. He was producing a record for Jill Jack, and I thought, it's got to be the same Nolan Mendenhall. So, I looked him up, and at the time, he was also a member of a band called Grievous Angel, an excellent band. And I used to go out frequently, like every week, to the South Lyon Hotel and listen to Grievous Angel and go to their shows. And they really, I think, lit the fire of interest in songwriting. And Billy Brandt was on the staff at a songwriter retreat in the UP, and he said, well, you should come up. And I said, well, I don't have any songs. I haven't written. I don't know what I'll do. But I went anyway, and I was unaware that when you sign in, there was a sign-up sheet for an open mic. And I had never played solo in front of a crowd in my life. And apparently Jill Jack noticed the terrified look on my face, and she
said something like that.
She buttonholed me and took me over into the gift shop at the end where this place was, and she gave me a pep talk and said I can do this, and I did something. I don't even remember what I played that night, but she kind of pulled me through the knothole, and once I got to the other side, it was very helpful that there was a kind, receptive, and forgiving audience. It was the Above the Bridge songwriting workshop, which has been running since 2008, and I've been to all of them.
Nice. Since
2008. So I have a lot of gratitude for the folks that organized it. Actually, Steve and Rachel of the Hummingbirds founded that with the owners of the Chamberlain's Old Forest Inn up there. So that's where I really wrote the first song I would take ownership of. I was up at that workshop. And I kind of came to the realization that, over the years, I had been writing pieces of songs in my head, but I never finished one, and I never put it down. I never recorded it because all these pieces were coming to me almost intact. And I thought, I can't be 2 weeks into this and have all this stuff coming to me. So this had to be a subconscious collection that was just surfacing. But so yeah, I've formally been writing since about late 2008.
Nice. Now, were any of the songs on the new record debuted at the Above the Bridge? Is there one that you might be playing that ties in?
Several. Over the years, I've written several, or at least 95% of the whole song in a weekend, and then come home to finish it. But
any of the ones you're planning on doing today? Because this is a perfect segue.
Oh gosh,
take it. Take the segue. It doesn't have to be. You can just play a song.
Yeah, I could play an earlier one, but it's kind of similar to the one I just played.
Pick a song, any song.
Okay, well, I can play the one that's the most popular in the Netherlands, if you care to hear.
From the new record that's not even out yet?
No, it's from an earlier record, but
Totally up to you. You play what you want to play, Mark. This is your moment in the spotlight.
okay. And this one was born on the front lawn of Chamberlain's Old Forest Inn in Curtis, Michigan, and it's called Cheap Mascara. I was young, and it was long ago when I first met her. And the way we got along when she was sober made it hard to forget her. She was one of 7 kids with a little angel of her own. Me, I could not foresee the depths of the unknown. Her old man was crazy. Crazy and mean to the bone. Her mama's so innocent and sweet, didn't like to be alone. Cause they would fight, it seemed like every night. And he would scream, my God, how he would scream. But Mama only cried for everybody else, it seemed. And every time I tried to bring her closer, my efforts were in vain. And she would run, yeah, she would run like cheap mascara in the rain. Well, she married once when she was way too young. We all make mistakes. Yeah, love is blind, and in that blindness, that's one that anyone can make. She tried so hard and didn't ask for much. In return, he gave her even less. That was the end of any innocence she had left, I guess. Every time I tried to bring her closer, my efforts were in vain. And she would run, yeah, she would run like cheap mascara in the rain. If that's the only kind of life she knew, then I might understand. Our fear of living in that kind of hell became distrust for any man. sometimes profound. Her words were sometimes profane. But in the end, there were no words at all. Only memories remain. And every time I tried to bring her closer, my efforts were in vain. And she would run, yeah, she would run like cheap mascara in the rain. Yeah, she would run, she would always run like cheap mascara in the rain.
Nicely done. Mark Jewett is my guest this week on Acoustic Alternatives, and I want to ask you about something, but I also have to remember that I have a sponsor I need to thank. So if you don't mind,
Absolutely.
I'm going to talk a little bit about David Palmer, who's been a big supporter of mine over the years. He just likes what I do. He likes what I did on the radio. Super nice guy. I love talking music with him, but as it turns out, he's also a realty expert. He's an associate broker, realtor, serving the city of Detroit and the surrounding areas. And there's 3 areas that he specializes in. And one of them actually might be useful for you, Mark, because I know you've gone through something in this realm. The first 2 I'm going to mention, probably not so much. First-time home buyers. If you had a bad experience, David's your guy. If you're recovering from that first-time experience, David's also your guy. If you're in our age group and you're starting to lose your parents and you're trying to figure out how to downsize and deal with the stuff that your parents have left for you to deal with, he's got a lot of experience with that as well. So if you're looking for somebody to help you in that area and you're in the market for a realtor, dcpalmer.com. He's well connected to the area. He's involved in a lot of different things besides his love of music and being an expert realtor. He's your solution. He'll walk you through the steps and with your permission, help you manage the third parties you need to go through to get that stuff that you don't know what to do with. He'll help you. So dcpalmer.com, look him up. David Palmer, thank you so much for your support. And David is associated with Realty Experts LLC, 1420 Washington, number 301, Detroit, Michigan, 48226. The phone number is 313-759-9558. And open up a separate browser right now, dcpalmer.com, and then look at it later after you're done watching Mark and I chat with Billy, who's here as well. So the Netherlands is a spot that song is doing well. Tell me about that.
On Spotify specifically, and it's a bit of a quirk, I guess. It's from my second record, which came out in 2011, and there's an artist. I believe he's based in Ireland. His name is Rob Murphy, okay. And there's a group called Fans for Rob Murphy, who they curate some playlists on Spotify, and through some strange quirk of fate, they happened to hear that song and put it on a playlist. And it's not burning up the world or anything, but it's getting heard. It's getting more streams than others, and I was appreciative, and I kind of followed what they were doing, and they released some other theme-based playlists, and I suggested some songs that might fit in that. So I think they've picked up maybe 3 or 4 of mine on various lists, but yes. that particular one is caught on, and I think pretty close to 80% of my worldwide streams are from the Netherlands. and Rob Murphy is not even from the Netherlands. He's from Ireland. So,
very strange.
So thank you, Rob. If you're listening to this podcast, Rob.
Hi, Rob. Come on,
Rob's fans.
So you've been doing this a while now. Who's been the most encouraging person as you travel through your solo career?
Oh, it's kind of been a sequence of people. But I mentioned that Jill Jack kind of pulled me through the knothole into the performing world. So that was, I'm forever grateful for that. I get encouragement from various places, but one of the times when I think I need it the most is if I think I have an idea and I'm not sure of it, like, do I have enough for a record here? there's guys like Billy Harrington out there where, you know, we can sit down over some sushi and talk about it. And Billy gave me a lot of encouragement. And then once we got into the project, I had, you know, songs that I wasn't quite sure of or they weren't complete. And Amy Petty played an enormous role in, you know, in encouraging me to finish certain things. And she even jumped in. There's a song called Guilty that we wrote together. And she brought what it needed. I had a couple of verses and a chorus, lacking a bridge, lacking a verse that tied the whole thing together. And she actually brought it pretty quickly and then added what she does so beautifully to the recording.
I've been lucky enough to hear that and a few others in progress as you sent them to me kindly. And that one's dark but beautiful. I like that one.
But I got to give Billy an awful lot of credit because he made me feel comfortable in a studio environment. We felt free to experiment with a lot of things, and being comfortable in the recording process is maybe the most important thing. You know, knowing what you're playing is important as well. Yeah. But if you're not comfortable, you're not going to do it well.
I think if you're like me, you always try to improve. Like when I first started doing college radio when I was younger, I would record every show and I would listen back to it to try and improve. Like, what can I do better? So did you do any of that as you reflected on your first two records? Was there something you said, I'm going to consciously try to improve this about myself?
Yes. I suppose probably want to know what that is.
Probably, yeah. That's the reason I asked the question.
Well, it's the two things that I'm obviously doing. Playing guitar and singing. You know, I had been a backup harmony singer in all the cover days, and I was rarely allowed to sing lead on any songs. You know, I did a couple of Joe Walsh songs and a couple of Tom Petty songs, but you know, this is a whole different game. And as I did my first EP, it really opened my eyes that I have a lot to learn about singing. And I've had some voice coaching over the years, you know, nothing that lasted too terribly long, but I do have a claim to fame. I used the same voice coach as Barbara Streisand for a while.
That engineering job must pay you well.
A very nice guy named Ray Taylor, who Sean Murphy introduced me to. Oh. It was a geographically undesirable situation. Yeah. I lived in Farmington, and he taught in East Detroit. And the only times I could fit in were like at rush hour. Oh. And this was also during, you know, one of the gas crises. And I had a van that was getting, you know, 9, maybe 10 miles per gallon. So, you know, the voice lesson had cost me $30 and the gas had cost me 40. But so I had a motorcycle at the time. Oh. Okay. And I used to ride that across 8 Mile in rush hour from Farmington to East Detroit and back. And it was rough. Yeah.
Nice. As you're writing the songs for any record, do you hear the arrangements that become the fully produced versions, or do you turn to somebody like Billy to kind of help you flesh out the song? Or are you hearing it in your head, like this needs the background vocal here and it needs the...
I usually hear concepts, and Billy really picked up on that and embellished the concepts really well. And I really enjoyed the way we went about this record, and I call it an organic process where, you know, I think I'm living the experience of typical standalone singer-songwriters who create something with an instrument, the guitar or a piano, and then it takes some kind of a shape that they can show to somebody else. But that's not necessarily the shape it needs to be in on a finished record.
Yeah.
Was there one that you had a particularly fun time arranging for him?
Well, or
whatever story you were about to say, because I interrupted you.
I was gonna say we went to a sushi place, my favorite sushi place, Totoro, and we sat down and we were just chatting about, you know, like what Mark's experience had been previously on the record before, what he wanted to do, and just general hanging out, you know, because Mark had come to a couple shows that I did, I think, and we had crossed paths quite a bit, but we had never really like, you know, actually just met and hung out and got a feeling for each other and stuff. But at the end of it, he gave me a CDR, blank little CDR. I put it in my car and I drove around and I just kind of had it, you know, kicking around, listening to it for a week or so. And I remember listening to all of it though on a drive for the first time and thinking like, gosh, I don't know what Mark wants me to do because it's kind of done. And I'm not, you know, I don't know if you guys like to cook, but like I like to cook, and you know, one of the big things for like I think great cuisine is like you don't overcook things. You know,
you need to know when it's done.
Right, and you let the ingredients speak for themselves. And I heard a lot of that on this little demo CDR, which was just Mark and, you know, just voice and acoustic. Sometimes it was electric guitar, but it was really just him. And there was so much there that I was kind of worried that he wanted something huge when I kind of wanted to do the opposite and like keep it really contained. That's one of my favorite things about Mark's voice is like, it feels like it sounds so great when you're really close. When you're really close to him, it has so much texture and just such a beautiful tone. You know, he's not doing Barbra Streisand acrobatics. It's kind of the opposite of that, and it's so honest, and it just sounds like Mark. And so I wanted to make sure to capture that because it was all over that CD. It was all over that demo, and I really wanted to make sure that we kept a lot of that vibe because it was just so sweet. So it was a lot of like, you know, Mark would throw out an idea, and you know, sometimes we would connect right away, and other times it would be the opposite, and we would say, okay, well, what do we want to get out of this, and what's the point of the track? Like, you know, where are we going? What's the trajectory here of these? And most of the time, it was a great time, and it was a lot of like I know records. You know, that I have my favorite records and Mark has his favorite records. And a lot of the time, you know, we were kind of trading tracks, trading artists that we didn't know, you know. So it was really nice. It was very organic because it created a little mini, you know, melting pot thing of influencing each other. And so it's great, you know, I love working with people from other generations, you know, so to speak.
On the other hand, though, on the cooking theme, yeah, you don't want to overseason anything or go over the top, but it is a lot of fun to go over the top. You know, maybe during the process, you take something too far, and it's fun. It's very exciting, you know, the first time you hear it happening, and then you sit back and you listen and go, yeah, that was great, but it's too much. You know, it's going to be weird on this record. So,
sometimes you want to be Pink Floyd. And we got there. We did that quite a bit, actually.
That actually kind of caught me by surprise because in my head I wasn't referencing you know, Pink Floyd, but there's a couple of tunes on the record that they're much bigger than anything I've ever done before, sonically. And you know, one of them was really taking on some Pink Floyd, David Gilmour flavor in the process. And I thought, okay, let's go with it.
Yeah.
It's working. Let's go with it.
Is that Voices? We talked about you and I talked about that one.
No, that was
or one I haven't heard yet.
It was Warren Zevon's birthday.
Okay, well, I've heard that one.
And then the other one was Guilty.
Guilty's very different.
That's the co-write. It reminded me of Evanescence, especially as soon as Amy stepped in and started doing layers of spectacular vocals.
Yeah. That's funny. I was thinking Great Gig in the Sky. So we're switching generations here. You're talking Evanescence, and I'm talking about record from 7.
Well, her voice does cut right through your soul, and you can hear it on that track for sure. That Great Gig in the Sky thing. I know exactly what you're speaking of, Billy, in that regard. But those can't sound anything like the demos either. That or the Voices track that I brought up, because that one has the beautiful violin playing of Sonia Lee on it as well.
Oh yeah.
Sonia did. She tore it up. She did such an outstanding job.
Yeah.
Most people haven't heard that one yet. That'll be on the record. When does the record come out, by the way?
August 20th is the date.
Getting there.
It'll be, you know, on digital distribution, and I'm supposed to receive physical copies sometime between the 6th and the 16th. So
cool. Are we ready?
I'm not sliding headfirst into home, but I'm running. I'm not walking in.
Are you ready to do another song from that record before we continue our chat?
Sure. We can try maybe should I go with something lighter or close with something lighter? I don't know.
Whatever your guitar is speaking, and is Billy playing shaker on it or not? There's the question.
I don't know.
Because I'm either going to mute or I'm not.
Oh, okay. I was throwing shaker when I walked in here, so I haven't figured this out.
Maybe Warren Zevon's Birthday.
Okay.
It's a different tune. It's one of the bigger ones.
I will play shaker on this one, John.
Then I'll leave your microphone on. Mark Jewett's in studio on Acoustic Alternatives.
My father died on Warren Zevon's birthday. I'm still not sure exactly what that means. So different yet the same. Neither knew the other's name. Both had profound effect on me. Dad served his country in the Second World War. When he was only 20 years of age, he kept it all inside, a place where he could hide secrets he carried to his grave. Warren had an appetite for living large, a thing he did so well. Like a feral buckaroo and some alcoholic Xanadu, he rode the double E right straight through hell. He shared a favorite drink called the next one, and humor dark and dry, the way I like it too. Both loved to tell a story, both could do it well. I miss those stories now, I really do. My father died on Warren Zevon's birthday. I'm still not sure exactly what that means. So different yet the same. Neither knew the other's name. Both had profound effect on me. Father spoke volumes with a silence, like he knew I could do better than he'd done. Now I hold up the flame and carry on his name, and I'm proud to be the one. My father died on Warren Zevon's birthday. Still not sure exactly what that means. So different yet the same. Neither knew the other's name. Both had profound effect on me.
There's a track from Mark Jewett's forthcoming album, The Lucky One, which is currently available as a separate single, Warren Zevon's Birthday, on Acoustic Alternatives. Clever marketing, because if somebody Googled, when is Warren Zevon's birthday? I bet that comes up. You didn't even think of that, did you?
Not initially, but it was a fortunate afterthought. Yeah. And it was released also on Warren Zevon's birthday.
Of course it was. Well, I would bet one of the first answers to the questions who your favorite songwriters is Warren Zevon. How about a couple others?
Oh, yeah. Warren was a master of wordplay and cynicism and a blend of tenderness and psychopathy. Warren was quite unique.
What other songwriters reach you like that?
No one else reaches me quite like that, but Jackson Browne was probably the first, singer-songwriter that really drew my attention, and I'm still a big fan. He's had a sensational career, great supporting musicians, great songs, and I still remember way back to "Doctor My Eyes" being one of the first songs that he ever wrote when he was quite young, and so he's someone I aspire to draw from. Of course, Beatles.
How could you not be? Especially your age, really. I mean, you lived through it.
Yeah, and then in the late '70s, I really dug into J.D. Souther. He had
with the Eagles.
He did a lot of co-writing with the Eagles and did a lot of stuff on his. He almost became a member of the Eagles, but he had such a great high tenor voice, the kind that I always wished that I had. And I've covered a few J.D. Souther songs, and I've had to bring along a second guitar that I detune a half or a full step in order just to get to the notes, and he plays them, in a first position that doesn't really allow you to capo your way around the dilemma. So you have to bring another guitar.
Nice.
But also Nick Lowe has been a big influence, and I really admire the way he reinvented himself for a second career. He had all his rock pile stuff and solo stuff and Bridget Lee Swartz band, but as he came back after some hiatus, his songs came back in a different style. He wasn't trying to be what he used to be. And the songs are still great. I'll catch Nick live anytime I can.
I've seen him at the Ark and a couple other spots too.
Yeah,
there's some great songs in that catalog. All Men Are Liars. I love that one.
Yep.
And
he's got a killer sense of humor too. Yeah,
it's a good list. If you had to pick an album that you love to cover from start to finish, what would it be?
Oh gosh.
What would you be able to tackle?
Oh, me?
With Billy's help.
Yeah.
I like this question.
A long time ago,
nice.
I always wanted to do a whole side of Abbey Road with a band, but
that's been done though.
Yeah,
I don't expect that answer from you. Actually, I expect something in the. I'll let you answer.
God, I haven't thought about it in that light.
Okay. We can come back to it.
Yeah. Now I'm going to think about it until I come up with something.
Call me tomorrow. So we'll go into the studio now mentally and tell me about the recording process with Billy. What was your favorite thing about recording with Billy? And Billy, we'll give you a chance to tell me what your favorite thing about being with Mark was. Favorite moment, favorite.
Well, I first of all, after we talked about, the project, I think we could sense that we were pretty much on the same page from the get-go before we ever booked the first hour in the studio. And we did a little bit of pre-production outside the studio, but I didn't want to force anything into a preconceived form. My philosophy about doing this kind of thing, and based on where I am in my own development, is bring a song if you think it's strong, and then bring in people that do things that you like, and they have good taste and they know how to serve a song, and turn them loose. Let them do what they want to do. There were very few points where I kind of tightened down and said, no, I want this to be a very specific way. I think Sophia, I wanted that to be a Simon and Garfunkel thing.
Yeah.
So I kind of forced that into a shape, but just the whole process. It's constant excitement about new things that are being created every step of the way. That's what I liked about it.
And you did it at Big Sky in Ann Arbor, right?
Yes,
All of it?
yes,
The whole record?
And Jeff Michael was sensational through the whole process. It took a lot longer than we initially planned. I don't know if you heard there was something going around,
Pandemic or something. Yeah,
but
slowed things down. a little bit.
2 weeks.
that actually gave me something to look forward to over a long period of months with not much else to look forward to.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you have a favorite moment working with Mark on this record?
Yeah, so I have to back up. So technically, we did record it in a couple other places, but for the most part, it was at Big Sky. But we did.
Well,
so we had a couple guest stars on this record, and Dale Gryza, fantastic organist, keyboard player, MD stuff. I love playing with him, and he and Mark have known each other for a while. Anyway, we wanted to get him on a couple tracks, and he at the time he had a home studio. Nice piano setup, organ setup, all of that, and we went there. And so let me preface this by saying what I liked so much about that organic process is that Mark and I were kind of able to check in with each other live and kind of go, is this working, or not, or try to feel each other out. And sometimes there'd be like, I can tell Mark's not saying much, so I can't really read him. We should probably have a conversation. Or I can tell this isn't where we should go, or it's really working because Mark's like up and kind of
sometimes
dancing.
it was because I was blown away.
Yeah. So silence isn't always the indicator, I guess, of one answer. But anyway, so we were there. We were at Dale's. We kind of, brought the session to him. And the way his studio works was that he has all of his stuff in one big room. There's no control room. The control room is inside the live room. And we're just kind of sitting on a couch, hands folded. He starts to do a couple takes, and he's like checking sounds, and we gave him a vague idea of what to do. But again, we wanted him to be him on it. We're not going to give him music or anything like that. So Dale starts going after like a little test run. Red light goes on, and we're sitting there, and both of our heads are down. Mark and I are sitting next to each other on a couch. Dale is just kind of back turned. He's just playing, and we're sitting there, and then he just plays this immediately right when he comes in, and Mark and I kind of look up. We don't say anything because it's recording. We can't say, you can't jump up and down or anything. But there was this face of like, and for the people who are just listening, the face looks like, oh, this is amazing. Yeah. This is amazing. Yeah.
And it was simultaneous. We looked at each other, went, that's the one right there.
Yeah. Got it.
Like this is it. This is gonna, and it glued everything together. And you just don't know until you try it and hear it. And so there was a lot of that in the studio, but that was one of my favorite moments. Was just kind of throwing it to the wall and trusting someone.
That was a magic moment. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Of the songs I've heard, I have one in mind that is the answer to the question that I'm guessing, but I'm going to ask you the question. What was the most fun song to record on this album?
Well, there were different kinds of fun.
Yeah. Most of it involved having clothing on, I'm sure.
Yeah. We remained fully clothed. A lot of this was midwinter stuff. But Michigan Snow Shoveling Blues.
That's the answer.
was a lot of fun.
Sounds like
it was just laugh out loud kind of fun.
Yeah.
Connoisseur was fun. It's kind of a caricature of a song. Mm-hmm. But sonically, as far as like a musical adventure, Guilty was so much fun.
The way it came out, yeah.
Yeah, it grew quickly from a concept to a very big arrangement, time wise, and I still remember hearing some of these parts for the first time, and Guilty. It seems kind of cinematic to me, so I may try to do some things with pitching that into film or TV or whatever.
Cool. Yeah.
Good luck. Well, the record comes out in August, and there will be support shows. At least one has been booked, right?
Yes, one has been booked. We're working on some, but a lot of venues are still in an uncertain space. We're not ready to commit to dates yet, but we will be at Trinity House Theater on December 3rd. if the world cooperates, please.
And will the band be the band that, tell me, besides Billy and besides the amazing voice of Amy Petty, who else was on the record?
Billy's brother, Michael, played, electric, acoustic guitar, pedal steel, a lot of pedal steel.
Ken Pesek on bass.
Yeah, Ken Pesek on bass. Dale on grand piano, Wurlitzer piano, organ, you name it. And Jason Denny provided some mandolin on one track.
Lucky you for sure.
Yeah.
You're the lucky one. Wait a minute, we knew that already.
Yeah, and then Sonia.
It's quite a collection of people you got.
Yeah. And the way it wrapped up was pretty amazing too, because we had another song that I had planned to include on the record, and it just wasn't panning out, the way I was thinking it might. So we scrapped it, and I remember I was on the phone with Amy one night saying, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't feel comfortable with this last song. I need to come up with something else. And she said, don't worry, there's a lot of ideas running around in that head. And I said, yeah, they're like little voices. And again, I got, wait a minute, voices. Write that down. And so within 48 hours, I think I had 90% of voices. And then we went right to the studio with that.
Cool.
couple days later.
Yeah, Mark sent me that in a text in the morning. I had my cereal spoon in my mouth, and I was listening to it, and it kind of drooped down. I was like, "This is Mark," it was
Weird.
amazing. Yeah,
and it wasn't until we got some bed tracks down, was trying to think of what would be a good feature instrument in here, and thought maybe violin, and looked up Sonia, and
there you go.
There we go.
shoot for the stars, man.
All right, let's get one more song before we wrap this up. What one would you like to end with? And does it have shaker?
I don't know.
Well, if you remember the shaker part, the connoisseur,
Nice. Okay, yeah, sure, why not?
All right, here we go.
Yes.
Okay. If Taco Tuesday happened every day, I'd have only happy words to say. I'd have a nice mojito, 2 tacos, 1 burrito, 'cause I'm a connoisseur of Mexican cuisine. Take care, here we go. Armando's makes delicious chimichangas. They're so grande, you might say humongous. But if you want something muy bueno, it's the chile relleno. When you're a connoisseur of Mexican cuisine, I'm a connoisseur of Mexican cuisine. From places where the kitchen is fairly clean, that's where they make the best. You can have the rest when you're a connoisseur of Mexican cuisine. Take care when the menu says cuidado, for el baño could soon be ocupado. Caliente means it's hot, suave means it's not. When you're a connoisseur of Mexican cuisine, pollo carnitas and carne asada, varieties of tacos I like a lot of. Don't try to fool me by serving one flat and telling me it's a tostada. It's just a flat taco when I'm a connoisseur of Mexican cuisine. from places where the kitchen is fairly clean. That's where they make the best. You can have the rest. I'm a connoisseur of Mexican cuisine. We are connoisseurs of Mexican cuisine.
That's a lot of fun. Mark Jewett on Acoustic Alternatives and track from the forthcoming album, The Lucky One. Let's run down all the important information about the album. Dates, websites, etc.
All right. Websites, digital platforms. I selected all of them. So
Smart.
yeah, it'll be out there most likely on your favorite platform. Physical CDs should become available August 20th. And Bandcamp will be the best platform for purchasing remotely. I still do solo shows, duo shows, trio shows with whoever can make it. And I'm happy to get together with all these folks. So they'll be available there too.
MarkJewett.com.
MarkJewett.com. Yes.
2 T's.
I did happen to get my own name as a domain secured.
Fabulous. Release date again, August 20th.
August 20th.
Very nice.
And I do want to give a shout out to the whole lineup. Billy Harrington did a fabulous job producing and on drums. Michael Harrington on guitars. Ken Pesek on bass. Amy Petty on vocals. Dale Gryza keyboards and Sonia Lee on violin. And Jason Denny on mandolin.
Again, you're a very lucky man for having all those, but that's because you treat people well.
It may be what I do best is picking people.
You do pick people pretty well. Well, thank you, and thank you, Billy, for being part of Acoustic Alternatives today. And a big thanks to David Palmer. If you have that tab open at dcpalmer.com, check him out. He cares deeply about the region, and he cares about having a positive social impact around here as well. So realty, that's one thing he does. Music lover, another thing he does. He's actually got an idea about something he wants to do with music too. So talk to him about maybe your CD collection. He might be able to help you with that if you're interested in getting rid of records. Talk to him about that. David Palmer, associated with Realty Experts LLC, 1420 Washington, number 301, Detroit, Michigan, 48226, 313-759-9558. Thank you, gentlemen, and another Acoustic Alternatives in just a couple of weeks.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
My pleasure.
It's been a lot of fun.
It has been. Take care.